Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. Today I'm going to be showing you how to record For Honor on PC with almost no frame drops, and also how to stream it as well with minimal frame drops. Now that doesn't mean you won't have frame drops, it just means it will be a lot less than it normally would be depending on your setup. Now, some people have asked me how to do this and how do I record For Honor with that much FPS when sometimes they have almost the same setup as me. That is because I use Relive. Now, for those of you that don't know, or those of you that are NVIDIA users, Relive is simply the AMD equivalent of Shadowplay. So, if you don't have it, if you have AMD, what you need to do is you need to download the latest driver and download the package that comes with it, known as Relive. And if you have NVIDIA graphics cards, you also need to download the latest graphics drivers and Shadowplay with the GeForce Experience. Now, what this will do is it will enable you to record things in the background. But many NVIDIA users already know about this, and many AMD users do not. And also I do not have an NVIDIA GPU with me, so I will be covering the AMD equivalent in this video. But stay tuned for you NVIDIA users for later information. So once you have Relive installed in your AMD driver panel, you will now have a new section called Relive. In this section, you need to enable it to be on. Of course, that seems pretty self-explanatory, though you can disable it for what we're going to do later. Keep this in mind. Right now, I have it set to record desktop. If you're playing For Honor, you can disable this and it'll work perfectly fine. In fact, I actually recommend this because audio seems to be misaligned whenever you do record desktop, so please keep that in mind as well. Beyond that, you can mess around with the audio settings over here, but then we go to recording. This is where the magic happens. What you need to do is, I set it to recording FPS 60, but this means it will take significantly more space. You notice that as we change these settings, well, it doesn't seem to be working over there. I thought it would change more settings, but okay, apparently not. It would change size. Normally this would affect size, but apparently it doesn't change the estimated size over here. Keep this to AVC, because HEVC is H.265, whereas AVC is H.264. H.264 is the more reliable method for most monitor sizes, and so I would strongly recommend you use AVC. Also, when you go to edit your videos, AVC will typically like it more than HEVC. So, yeah, please keep that in mind as well. Keep your resolution the same. That's what I would do if I were you. And max recording bitrate. This is how you affect the size and quality of your videos. The higher the number, the more space it will take and the longer it will take to save that recording, but the higher quality it will be. I can record extremely high quality videos, but the problem is this takes a lot of space, and YouTube compresses videos when you upload them. So in truth, you will not get near 80 megabits per second when you do this. So I would recommend somewhere around 40 or 20 to 40, as that is what I recommend. You can go up to 80 like me, but I typically compress my videos before I upload them, just to save myself a bit of hassle. And instant replay is what allows me to save clips that have just happened even though I didn't press record. This is an extremely useful feature and I recommend this. It allows me to basically, whenever something amazing just happened and this is enabled, I can simply just press the hotkeys on my keyboard, being Control Shift and S, and it will save that to my saved clips folder, whatever I choose that to be, and it will take up however long I set it to record. The problem is, when you set it to record desktop, it will, when you don't have it set to record desktop, if you tab back into desktop, your game will no longer be recorded in that cache. So what you need to do is, of course, I used borderless full screen, so that could have been an effect on that, though I am not entirely certain. So if you use borderless full screen, or you don't want your recordings to be lost just because you tabbed out, I recommend enabling desktop. But if you want a stable recording, just disable it. Also, this allows me to dynamically affect how long I want recording saved replays in case something does happen. So I can tab back in, and I can tab out and then tab back in. Basically, I have a thing that says don't record any unnecessary footage. That's pretty, and you can also separate your microphone track from your gameplay to better customize your editing. But I like to minimize post-processing, so I typically have this disabled, though this is a good option. And you can also stream with this software to almost any popular platform. You have Mixer, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Twitch, and we also have the ability for a custom stream if you need be. I'm not aware of what Stage 10 or Sina Weibo is, but popular platforms probably that I have not heard of. You can show viewer stats. That seems to be bugged out for me whenever I use it on YouTube and or Twitch. So that's not really that big of a deal. You guys have noticed how on the bottom right hand corner of my screen you will see chat. This is because I have the show chat on while I'm streaming with Relive. Now, I could use OBS, but I like the ability to see my chat in the bottom right hand corner and also control the streaming bitrate just as dynamically as I would on XSplit or Open Broadcaster software, whatever. I can customize the streaming resolution and the FPS. Remember, if you want this to lag, this will have an impact on your CPU even though it is using your graphics card. So do keep that in mind. As soon as you start streaming, no matter what you do, your CPU will be impacted and you will have frame drops. But using your graphics card means it would have a lot less impact than it normally would if you were to use just a normal X264 on OBS. But we'll get to that in a moment. You can also choose to, you can just increase or decrease it. Your FPS, keep this at 30 if you don't have a stable connection. And also if your CPU is not top of the line. But you can increase it to 60 if you so feel like it. Audio bitrate, I've heard different things about audio bitrate, but my mic's not that high quality, so I keep it at 96 kilobits per second. Or kilobytes? Is it kilobits or kilobytes in this scenario? I don't know. And then you can also archive the stream. This will save it to your saved clips folder as well. So when the stream ends, you have already post-processed footage that is already in your computer, and you don't have to spend time downloading it from that platform and such. And this is basically the AMD equivalent to Shadowplay, and it's extremely useful, and I recommend getting it if you have an AMD card and you play For Honor or any other game for that matter. Next up, we have everyone else on the NVIDIA side that is still tuning in. This is the part you want to tune into. If we open Open Broadcaster software, also known as OBS, we just wait for that to open real quick. It is very good, and it's the most widely used software for streaming, but the problem is it's not very, I guess you could say, as clean and discreet as Shadowplay and Relive, but for some reason mine's not opening. Oh, there we go. And some of you may want to stream and or record with a lot less impact on your games. And some of you don't want to use Shadowplay and or Relive for whatever reasons. Here's the solution to this. What you do is you go to Settings and you go to Output. In streaming and recording, you will notice a new option, or if you've updated your drivers, called NVNC if you use NVIDIA, or AVC encoder AMD Media Framework. This X.264 will use your CPU and while it does have slightly higher quality per bit rate than your graphics card, the H.264 encoder on your graphics card is much more, I guess you could say it's a lot less heavy than your CPU, especially for those of you that have 4-core CPUs and so on. This is what you typically want to use because it will have less impact on your games and it will just overall have better quality for you, but slightly less quality for your viewer, though the differences are minimal at best, especially if you have a high bit rate. You can also do this for recording as well if you choose the standard type of what you want to customize. Typically what you want is quality down here, because that's, I believe, what the same they use for Relive. And then what you want is you actually want variable bitrate peak constraint. And what this will do is this will allow you to customize the overall bitrate. Basically, you want your target bitrate, what you actually want it to be, and you want your peak bitrate to be maybe 10 megabits per second higher than normal, or just 10,000 higher than normal. I have it set to this because if I want still images to basically not have that much quality put into it, but this is basically what you want. You have your minimal and then you have your max at what you don't want it to be. You should always set keyframe interval to 2. Never go below or higher than that, as this will cause problems. And if you do not want to, for any reason, use Shadowplay Instant Replay and Relive Instant Replay, there's another option for OBS users, and that is called Replay Buffer. Once enabled, you can customize a set amount of time you want to be recorded on your current scene. And what you can do is you can just basically, every time you press a hotkey, it will save that time frame interval to your hard drive. Now, maximum memory 512 megabytes. This is actually quite a bit. Truth be told, instant replay never normally needs more than this. Normally. And it'll normally take a lot more space than it will RAM. So maybe if you have a lot of RAM, if you don't have that much RAM, keep this normal or don't use it at all. If you do have RAM to spare somewhat, keep this between 512 to 2 gigabytes. If you don't know what 2 gigabytes is, that's 2048 megabytes. This will basically just allow you to instant replay with OBS, though it is not as convenient as having it run in the background with your graphics card software that you need anyway. So, yeah, I just disable that because I've mostly been using Relive. One thing to note, if you do ever decide to use OBS and use the method I have mentioned, please do remember to disable Relive, as you will be having 2 programs using the exact same GPU encoder, and it will overload them and cause massive lag and problems for those of you that are using it. So please, if you use one, please disable the other in the background. This will cause less problems and less headaches for you, but don't forget to re-enable them if you want to use instant replay or some other thing. And that has been my tutorial. If you guys did like how simply I explained that you can just save yourself some free FPS on your games when you re-record, please do hit that like button and comment down below. And I'll see all you dudes in the next video. Bye-bye. Also, Relive also happens to have a very nice overlay, so you can very neatly just click if you don't want to use hotkeys. It's very Shadowplay also has this, by the way, but it doesn't look as cool. See you guys.